Hi, in this video we will go through some proofs with the addition rule. Hi, this is Logic Self-Taught with Dr. Phi. In this video we are going to go through some proofs with the addition rule. There are two of them. Try to do the proofs yourself. If you have problems, keep watching. We have just added a sixth rule to the bunch of rules that we already know, addition. We start with any one proposition, P, and we are allowed to infer a disjunction with P as a disjunct. P can be the first disjunct or it can be the second disjunct, doesn't matter. The problem with addition is that you need to know what you're adding and why you're adding that. We have three premises. We proceed just as we do usually. We want the conclusion, H. We try to locate it in the premises. We can see that it is the consequent of the conditional in line 2. We could apply Modus Ponens to get it if we could match the antecedent. So we would need to get B or D on its own line. How can we get B or D? Now, B or D is a disjunction. We don't find it anywhere except in the antecedent of the conditional in line 2, but we know we can't get it from there. On the other hand, we've just learned a rule, addition, which allows us to add anything we want to a disjunct. So if we could obtain B on its own, we could add D. Alternatively, if we could obtain D on its own, we could add B. B occurs not only in the antecedent of line 2, but also in the consequent of line 1. So it's actually B that we should be shooting for. We'll be able to obtain B by Modus Ponens if we can match the antecedent A or C. Now the question is how to get A or C, but we already have A in line 3, so we can add C to it. Let's do the proof then. We decide to use addition to obtain the disjunction A or C, and we need to locate the disjunct. The disjunct is in line 3, and now we decide we want to add C to that disjunct. We got our first subgoal, and now we can get our next subgoal, B. We can match the antecedent of the conditional in line 1 to obtain the consequent, B. Now that we have B, we can add anything we want to it, in particular D. It's D that we want to add. We can now match the antecedent in premise 2 to obtain the consequent H, which is our conclusion. And we're done. Again, I want to stress that addition is easy to apply, provided that you think to yourself, what is it that I want to add? And you need to be clear about the fact that you're not deriving the other disjunct, the one you're adding, from the proof. You're deriving it from your head. The disjunct you're adding comes from your thinking about the strategy of doing the proof. This is an exercise in applying the addition rule. We start with a simple proposition A, and we are supposed to infer this humongous conjunction. We will need to apply the conjunction rule here to obtain the conjuncts. And you'll note that each of the conjunct is actually a disjunction, so we'll be applying addition. The strategy of applying addition to get the first conjunct and the second conjunct is different. So let's watch this. Let's focus on the first conjunct. To get the disjunction here, we need either disjunct. So we would need to have either the second disjunct, which is humongous and which we don't have, or the first, which is A, which we clearly have. We have the first disjunct, so we can add anything we want. Here, what we want to add is a rather complex formula, but that's okay. Addition allows us to do this. Addition allows us to add anything we want. Here, what we want is this big disjunction. So let's do so. Remembering to embrace what we're adding in parentheses, unless it's a simple proposition or a negation. Okay, so we got the first conjunct of the conclusion. Now let's turn to the second subgoal. We need a disjunction B or a big disjunction here. But the big disjunction has, if you look at it, A as a sub-component. To obtain the disjunction, we would need either disjunct. We can do this in one step, but we will need to do so in several steps. It also bears emphasizing that we will not be able to use line 2 in any way. So to obtain our disjunction, we would need either the first or the second disjunct. Now, if you think about it a little bit, the prospect of obtaining the first disjunct B is rather hopeless. B is hidden within line 2, but we can't get it from there, so we have to drop that idea. On the other hand, we have a disjunction with A as a sub-component. To obtain this disjunction, we would need either of the disjuncts on its own. So we would need to have either A or C or D. Again, the prospect of getting D is hopeless, so we will drop it. But we can apply addition to obtain A or C because we are given its disjunct A on line 1. So let's carry on. We decide to use addition. We decide to add C to line 1 to obtain A or C. And now that we have A or C, we can apply addition again to obtain our second sub-goal. We will use addition again and always think about what to add to what. We will be adding D to the proposition in line 3. We take proposition A or C, embrace it in parentheses, and add D. And now what remains is the last addition step. We will add B to the proposition in line 4, making sure that B is the first disjunct. So we've derived our two sub-goals. We can now apply conjunction in our final step. And here note that our conclusion is super complex. So we actually need to double check very carefully that all the propositions, all the connectives, all the parentheses are there. But after double checking that they are there, we're done. This is Logic Self-Taught. It's exercise time. Do all the exercises until they feel like a breeze.